I absolutely love this because it shows you so much of what's going on behind the scenes. Like you don't get an actual clear view, but you can tell all these parts are moving at the same time. So Carson Beck officially announces he's coming back. And then not 30 minutes later, Dylan Raiola announces that he's committed to Nebraska. And you can tell from a Georgia standpoint, they probably wanted to hold that Beck announcement until they officially knew that they were going to lose Raiola, and it's just like a good thing that all these moving parts are going on behind the scenes. But Georgia fans sit here today, I think they should be happy because not only is Carson Beck coming back, it looks like they could have several big pieces coming back and trying to avenge their loss to Alabama and win another national championship. We talked about Raiola last week when it was the potential rumors were coming out that he could flip to Nebraska and how Georgia fans should feel about that. And the answer is easy. They shouldn't care at all. I mean, first of all, good for Nebraska. As a neutral bystander, I'm excited to see if Nebraska could come a legit contender and maybe make the college football playoff. It would be cool to have them back, and I think Matt Rule's on the right track. But this doesn't affect Georgia. I mean, first of all, Georgia has Carson Beck next year. The transfer portal is wide open. What great quarterback would not want to come and be, have all those weapons, play at Georgia, compete for a championship? And if they don't want to come, that's on them. That's a sign you shouldn't want a player like that, because if you can't handle the pressure and the expectations at the University of Georgia, we don't want you. And so Georgia fans should feel ecstatic about what happened. Obviously, Beck is huge news, and they're going to have no problem finding a successor to Beck or any quarterback in the near future, as long as Kirby Smart's there and they keep churning out talent the way that they do.
Yeah, I look at this as like a current versus future asset management type deal, similar to baseball, where everybody overvalues prospects instead of the guys who are actually at the major league level right now. And I look at this the same way that, I did see some Georgia fans being like, well, Raiola is going to be better than Beck. Well, no, you don't know that. And right now, Beck is a guy who current asset is so much more valuable than Raiola, who's a future asset. Current money is so much more valuable than future money. And Beck is a guy that's going to lead you potentially to a national championship next year. And for Beck, from his point of view, we talked about it yesterday. If you haven't seen it on the YouTube, go check it out. Sports Talk ATL on YouTube. Raiola, I kind of gave in to the notion that he might sneak into the first round, but that's because a team's going to overdraft him. I do not think he's a first-round pick today, but he goes out tomorrow or next year at Alabama, at Texas, at Ole Miss. He improves his play. He is going to be a consensus first-round pick, and then maybe, depending on how he performs, be mentioned among the first top five overall pick. So I think this was an incredibly smart move by Beck. And it's clear that, Georgia valued him coming back. If Kirby Smart, you asked him, if he had to choose one or the other, it wouldn't even be a hesitation. He would choose Beck because he gives them the best chance to win a national championship next year. And in the state of college football, like you said, with the portal, NIL, first of all, Georgia's not lacking in talent. There's probably another 4 or 5 star waiting in the wings who's a freshman. There is another freshman coming up. So, there's never going to be an issue of talent at UGA. And Raiola did what was best for him, or, whatever made the most sense for him. And Georgia fans who are feeling salty about this, you're a loser. Who cares what an 18-year-old does? The state of your program is next year, and it's in Carson Beck's hands. Now, to your point also, I'm an unbiased fan. We both went to LSU. I love the Raiola going to Nebraska only because the Big Ten is an absolute crapshoot. They're not crapshoot. It's a crappy league. There's no real competition at the top outside of Michigan and Ohio State. It's just whoever wins that game.
It will get better with Oregon and
you're right. You're right. And going away with divisions is going to help a lot. But I mean, I want one of these blue blood Midwestern schools to come back. I'm tired of Iowa winning the West and just getting blown out in the Big Ten championship. I think Matt Rule's going to succeed with Nebraska. So I do love Raiola going there in terms of the state of college football as a whole.
Yeah, and I just want to remind people, there's different kinds of 5 stars and they go by position. And there's a lot, most 5 stars that get brought up as wide receivers or running backs or something, the miss rate's pretty thin. You can usually tell in college that guy's going to be a stud. It's not like there aren't any misses, but they're a lot smaller. At quarterback, there's 5 stars left and right that do not pan out and do not turn out that good. And there's no guarantee that Raiola would have started not only next year in 2 or 3 years. And that's probably why he looked at Nebraska and said, hey, I'm going to go somewhere where they're going to give me a chance to play as a freshman. They're going to give me $5 million. It was easily probably a better situation for him. Obviously, his dad plays there. He's already a celebrity there. Like, he goes to Georgia, he's just another guy. Like at least for next year, if not for several years. So he goes to Nebraska. He's already the star on campus. Even if he doesn't start, he's got that Arch Manning because he's the 1 5-star that Nebraska's got at the quarterback position that they haven't had in decades on decades on decades. So it makes sense for Raiola to do this. And it makes sense for Georgia fans to not be pissed because they're going to get whoever they want. And they've got more guys behind Carson Beck. And by the way, Carson Beck's starting, and you're going to be the number 1 team in the nation when the pre-season rankings come out, because guess who else is staying? I've heard rumors of Mims. I've heard rumors of Bullard. Now, like, I don't know if any of that's going to come to fruition, but if I had to bet $1, I bet you a couple of those guys stay with Beck and they try to win a national championship. I can't even understand. It's funny because I know it's kind of calmed down now that Beck and some of these rumors have come out. But I mean, a week ago, Georgia fans were having a conniption fit on the TL. They were crying because players were leaving and stuff like that. And they're like, what's going on? Has Kirby lost it? Guys, settle down. This is just the state of college football today. Yeah. And guess what? When you're that talented as you are at the University of Georgia and these 5-stars are not playing snaps, they're going to want to leave. Like, that's just what's going to happen. Guys are not going to get recruited, have NFL dreams, and sit behind a 4-star that outperformed them. And yes, that's how you should operate your program. And when you're the University of Georgia and you recruit everybody as well as you do, that's what's going to happen. But guys are going to leave. It is natural. It is attrition, especially in today's college football. So keep expecting to see it, but don't expect different results because Kirby ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I might joke on social media and stuff about it, about Kirby's lost it. He's absolutely not lost it. I'm absolutely joking. But what I'm not joking about is that exact thing, that Georgia fans are absolutely delusional in their fandom. And listen, and I'm a crazy fan. I don't say that, but I'm not going to accost a former LSU commit because he went to a different team that was a better situation for him. I mean, he's 18 years old. And like what you said, especially at the quarterback position. And that's just not the state of a, recruit going to college. That's a prospect going from college to the NFL. Quarterback is the hardest position to get right at every single level for a reason, because it's the hardest position in sports, bar none. It's the most important position in sports. So you getting upset about all this says a lot more about you. And you should be embarrassed. And it's not just the no-name picture guys with a bunch of numbers after them. It's prominent folks on social media who are just making an ass out of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't get it. This is why I've never been into college recruiting.
It's crazy.
It's like, dude, these are kids, and you don't even know what they're going to be. But coming up after the break, we're going to talk Ian Anderson. He's going to come back in 2024. What should the expectations be?